It's definitely me. I'm the one talking. Now, let's get those nervous laughs out of the way. I appreciate y'all having me here. Thank you very much. This is truly a sign of a family, I think, because the way I grew up didn't really have one. Hi, my name's Lucas. I'm about to dump all my life's problems on you. I grew up in a single parent military household where money was always tight. We didn't really necessarily fit in wherever we moved or lived. And our fashion sense was at least 10 years behind, if you know what I mean. And lessons always came hard. My very first lesson happened when I was about... How old are you?
16.
How old are you? How old are you, little one? 1? She is like all up in that carrot. Oh, am I not speaking loud enough? Is that better? Is that better?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so when I was about, my mom brought home my newborn baby brother when I was the ripe old age of 3 from the hospital. She had been bedridden. She got sick. I don't know what it is. I don't know a lot about childbirth. Ladies, y'all can speak on that, I'm sure. But she couldn't leave the bed, and we lived in a small village, so we didn't have a lot of family members or anybody who could take care of us. Somewhere in goodness knows Germany. So for about 4 days, 5 days, I heated formula, nuked many bowls of ramen, and exploded many hot dogs in the microwave to keep us fed. I still don't have a microwave because of that. What lesson is that? That's Big Brother lesson for the 3-year-old. Do y'all know how to use a microwave? Do you know how to use a microwave? No? Whoa. Wait, y'all hear how we said that? You do? Okay. That's superpowers, man. That's Big Brother stuff. Hey, that's food, man. Don't burn down the house. That'd be not a good day. Unless there's any volunteer firefighters looking for some action. I'm kidding. But like doing that, it made me mature a lot faster in a lot of ways, but it also like suspended some of my development. I was always good at making jokes at the teacher's expenses and at the other children's expenses. It got me isolated majorly. Can you still hear me, Mom? Okay, thank you. And I spent my whole life making nervous jokes about everything. Comedians make the worst jokes. I mean, look at me up here. I'm schwitzing. It's weird doing it with a microphone.
Go ahead, just whatever you want.
Okay, thank you, sir. But I stayed the class clown until I made it to high school, where we moved to Italy, where I met my first real male role figure model. It was about 4th grade. His name is Mr. Ball. He's our math and science teacher. All the other teachers put me part of the course. They wanted me to fail. They wanted me to wind up wherever failures wind up, wherever that may be. Or I think some pastors know about that kind of trail. But he didn't. He would not accept the way I was operating, the way I was dealing with people. He said, you need to do this, this, and this, and you need to move forward. And within one 6-week grading period, I went from the worst possible grades you could have to the best possible grades in the school in every subject, except spelling. I'm still... Anybody pass spelling? Did you fail spelling? Were you a speller? No. I'm terrible at spelling too. But he all it took was one determined person to show a young boy what he could expect of himself. But years move on, as they do. The next school year rolled around, and Mr. Ball, the teacher, was no longer there. The military had sent him somewhere else, I think to Bosnia or something like this. My grades started off good that year, but then I just tanked, started picking fights with the bigger kids, got into fights with the teachers again. Just the worst fight I had was at home. I had proven that I could do better up until that point, but my mom didn't. I truly believe this. My mom didn't understand that, so she expressed it physically because I had felt the absence of my male role model figure. I just lashed out like you wouldn't believe. and it wound up. I wound up in school a couple of days later with scratches, bruises on various parts of my face, a contusion that stuck out like the base of the baby unicorn horn, and a black eye. Um, uh, it was an eventful night. School got called, interviews were conducted over the next couple of weeks. The military wanted to see if it was fit for my brother and myself to remain in that type of situation. Unfortunately, I learned what lies can do to adults, and I learned the bigger fear was that I was going to lose my family. So I lied about my interactions, and by the time my injuries were healed, um, I was a clumsy teenager that just fell face first into a piece of kitchen uh, furniture. That's so my family wouldn't break up. Um, but we moved to Texas. Texas is a different animal, different species altogether. The violence in school here is much measurable. You all been to a 5A school game, I'm sure, right? 5A football. Y'all are homeschooled. That's awesome. You're a teacher, so you understand the diatribes of the public school system. And anyway, um, Texas was different. So I was a white kid in a small school on the southeast side of San Antonio that didn't. It kind of stuck out a little bit, right? My mom would drop me off at the school around 5 o'clock in the morning to get extra shifts, extra money. So I would wander the school halls for hours waiting for the librarian. And there were many instances where I was able to sit by the librarian's office. She'd just come on in and just let me wave me right on by. The very first time that happened, she noticed I was a little messed up. Um, and just from then on, for the rest of the time I was at that school, 30 minutes earlier every single day, she allowed me to seek refuge in her library to avoid being uh, jumped, is a term that I learned what it's called when I moved to the States. I got smarter. I read every book in that library, and I learned how to make the bigger kids that were not bullying me my allies by helping them with their homework. So the, it seemed to work for some reason. But by the time we made it to Texas, my mom had gotten out of the military, or sorry, to Dallas from San Antonio. My mom had gotten out of the military, but home life was still rather dynamic. I would get into a lot of fights with my mom, physical. I never hit anybody in my life that was a woman, but I received plenty. I remember our fights got so bad that I would just get kicked out of the house, sometimes for days, sometimes for multiple days. Spent many nights eating drinking black coffee and eating mozzarella sticks at the local IHOP with the local goth kids. But eventually, I'd have to walk home at like 3 in the morning. And the rule is this: if the front door was locked and the window was locked, I would either climb the front tree and tie myself into the main limb to fall asleep. And if it was icy outside, I'd sleep in one of those trash bins. Uh, could never keep them vertical. They are plenty warm in a cold situation, though, I'll say that. And this is just for a disagreement in my household. But the final disagreement happened when I was about 16. My mom got into a really, really messed up rage. I'm pretty sure I said something I shouldn't have as a disrespectful teenager, but she smacked me across the face. I manipulated her wrists, held her from behind, fell on the couch, and I think what felt for like an hour of her screaming, biting, gouging, and clawing and headbutting me. I just held her till she passed out, crying, and that was the day I decided to move out. Thank you. Uncomfortable stuff, right? That's the day I decided I'm no longer going to be a part of this situation, that I need to be removed from uh, this stage left immediately. In that instance, I ended up starting a band that got radio play up in Dallas. You might have heard of us. We played late at night at 2 o'clock in the morning 15 years ago. And had a couple of jobs, enrolled in the in the and I didn't enroll in the military yet. I enrolled in college, community college. Life was going good. Then I met a girl, and we wanted a family. So I decided to dissolve everything I was doing except moving forward with the military. But the day before I joined the military, I got a Dear John phone call. Y'all know what this is? Everybody familiar with the Dear John phone? Yeah, I got a Dear John phone call. And do you know what it is?
I'm letting him know.
It's Dear John phone call is when you make a commitment with someone. Usually it's a male-female situation in the military, but then your partner decides they don't want to be in your life anymore. Usually it's called a Dear John letter. You see it a lot as a trope in a lot of military movies. The girlfriend sends a picture of herself to her boyfriend and stating that they want to break up. That's a Dear John trope. Sorry, I got dry mouth. Excuse me. Yes, please. Is that all right? Actually, can you bring me my thank you, sir. How y'all doing? It's a heavy story, right? Appreciate y'all sharing your time with me. That's what the German philosophers think. The insane kind, 10 by 10 by 10 reps, German volume. Yeah. May I put this on the... All right. Where was I? Talking about myself.
Dear John.
Huh?
Dear John.
Dear John, yes. So I got my Dear John. I ended up going to the military with a chip on my shoulder, but I was unencumbered. I didn't have a family, and I didn't have my other situations. I spent 10 years chasing bad guys, cleaning toilets, and getting yelled at or yelling at people, sometimes all in the same day. That's just the military. I got out honorably, thank goodness. What branch? I was a coastie. Notice I said that after you asked, as opposed to normally a Marine comes out and says, I was a Marine. Brr. Mine was the follow-up. I don't brag about it. I was a coastie. I got to help a lot of people, do a lot of good, help with what I thought was good. Sir?
Coast Guard?
Yes, one of those guys. Puddle pirate, or what do you call it, shallow water Navy. And generally speaking, they do good things, but I was in my own world. I spent 10 years doing what I thought was good to help other people, not necessarily what is good. We all know what is good at Sunday school, I hope, right? My life was going pretty well until I decided it was time to get out. I was invited to a party from a college mate. I was in college in the evening, and they were having a hard time with what was going on. So I just showed up. I was 2 miles down the road, and this party was next to a marina, multiple restaurants, dozens of boats, hundreds of people having a very lively time. For the adults, you know what that means. Decision making is not always on point. She was having a hard time, so she pulled me aside and decided to just try to isolate us. So I convinced us to leave the party. But as we were leaving, everything got dead quiet. Like stiffeningly quiet. Imagine Chris Craft boats as big as this living room, multiple live bands, rock bands with like a 500 watts pushing whatever, just dead quiet. I turn around and I see a set of arms flailing out of the water about 40 yards from the dock. I mean, that doesn't belong there. That stands out. Why is that there? I turned back around. My friend has disappeared. I shuffled down to the deck looking for a life ring. There's no life ring. I'm like, this sucks. The only thing I'm thinking about at this moment is I don't want somebody to steal my keys and my phone. This is going to be terrible. And I take my flip-flops off and I just jump in. Clear Lake, Texas is down in. It's not very clear. If you see, it's not. It's gross. There's a lot of nasty stuff in there. As I'm about to relay, I jump in and I'm start swimming at this guy, and Chris Craft, it's a cabin cruiser, drives right by us. It creates a wake, and I lose visual contact of the gentleman. Visual contact. He breaks our line of sight. I can't see him anymore. By the time I see him, where I think he is, The wake had washed over my head. Obviously, it's a dangerous situation there. Boats going everywhere. They're not really paying attention, and people are making bad decisions. He was gone. He disappeared. He was not a single bubble, not so much as a water droplet. I'm like, okay, this is weird. I look up. I start having thoughts of something greater than me because I don't know what's about to happen. I dive down. The water's only about 15 feet deep, and I reach in every single direction. Dark, can't see nothing. Tastes terrible. Clear Lake is gross. Why were you drinking Clear Lake water? That is gross. Do we have a medical doctor? She needs an exam. You don't have any gills, do you? Do you have any gills?
No.
Okay, just making sure. Because I think I have a pair right here. No. So I come back up. I'm screaming. I'm like, this man is not going to die today. This man is going to make it. And again, I take a deep breath, go back down to the bottom of the lake, and I'm thrashing around in absolute pitch dark to a guy who's pretty much dead now. He's pretty much done. I come back up, and this is the weird moment where everything starts hitting me, where I start asking some questions, not all of them, but some. What's going on? Why am I even here? Why? If I can't save this one stupid person's life, and that's not what I felt about him. That's what I felt about him at the time. That's not what he was. If I can't save this one stupid person's life, why is this stupid person still alive? Why am I even existing? These are not thoughts of suicide. These are just general thoughts that a man might have. What is my utility? What am I here to offer this world? Excuse me. And in that moment, I felt something squishy and soft hit my left leg. It was very strange, but very calming. I go down like, oh, it's a wrist. And I submerge and I bring him up and we breach the water. He literally came out of nowhere. Where did this guy come from? He was gone. He was dead. No chance in any type of situation I would have been able to find him. And this dead body just gracefully touches my leg and calms me down, mind you. This is a strange situation. You think you don't deserve to live as an adult, and all of a sudden a dead guy touches your leg and you're totally calm. Anyway, I fish him out. I swim him toward the dock. I had to yell at people. This is what happens when a lot of people are staring at a situation that they may not be able to comprehend. I didn't understand this at the time, but the more people there are that are standing around watching something, the less likely there is somebody going to do something. It's just a natural phenomenon we all have. It messed with my head for months. But I had to yell at somebody to call 911. They whipped up their phone and actually dialed 911 while I'm swimming them. And then I had to yell at 3 guys to help me yank this gentleman out of the water. He was sizable. He was a big dude. Had he been alive, he probably would have locked my teeth out at that point. Before I know it, I jumped on his chest and I started doing compressions. And things just started slowing down in my head. And like, I asked those questions, came back. Why did I even jump in this water? What is my job? That day, it jacked me up. I walked around for months trying to figure out where do I belong? Where are these people? Where's my tribe? I need a group of people. And I started meeting Christians like this gentleman over here. It's crazy. Say again?
Yeah, die or what?
Did
he die? What happened? Yeah.
You let me tell my story?
Going.
Yeah, I'll let you know, I promise.
I just want to know if he died.
That's part of the storytelling. Okay. I'm glad you caught that.
Yeah.
I see crazy Christians gathering around in homes in Conroe, Texas, singing at a screen, worshiping this invisible guy that I've always heard about in the back of my life. Who are they? Who are those Christians? Why are they always so smiley and happy, even though they literally be eating a poop sandwich sometimes? Why is that? Because God doesn't know how to quit. God doesn't know how to give up. And you may not be the right person, but you're the right person in that instance. Does that make sense? Sometimes the best person isn't always the best choice. Sometimes it's the right person. I think about David when I think about that knocking down a giant, a sheep herd. Were there other people better with slings? Probably. But was he the right one? God chose him, so there's no way he could be the wrong one. I started meeting these crazy cuckoo Christians, and they started like changing my lifestyle. They started having an effect on me. I stopped listening to really bad music. I didn't drink. Excuse me. I didn't drink adult beverages nearly as much, or at all. Sometimes I started listening to different podcasts. I stopped getting all political when political was the big thing to be, especially these past couple of years. If y'all remember, can you still hear me, Mom? Okay. And over a period of 2 years, my life started getting better. It was strange. I didn't have more of anything, mind you. I had less of a lot of other negative things, things that would keep me up at night. The list of pills that the VA requires me to take. It's like this. It stopped showing up at my house because I stopped ordering it. There was no need to do that anymore. Before was anxiety and terror and uncertainty. Now it's still there, but nowhere nearly as pronounced. I'm much more calm now. Um, I got to meet the gentleman that allowed me to be here today, the gentleman that taught me how to bend the horseshoes and the stuff I'll demonstrate for you here in a little bit. I got to meet this lovely gentleman and his wonderful son who. How much weight have you lost? How much? You've lost 40 pounds? Okay. Mostly just, dang, dude. I barely recognized you when I walked in. I'm like, dude, that guy's like a half a foot taller. Is he smiling more than normal? Dad's smiling, just like, yeah, I know. He's my son. I see him every day. He's always there. He's always happy. I made that. As mom's like, mom over here is like, I know. But these wonderful people just started changing my life. I even stopped cursing. I'm like, I'm a sailor. I'm supposed to be able to make a sailor blush. No. Um, and I thought back on it, and I thought back on it, and I realized that through the small steps throughout my life, he had always been there. He was there when my brother was newborn and in need of somebody to take care of him. He was there when the librarian saw that I didn't look all that great, worse for the wear. He was there when my mom got a little extra zealous. Um, and he was there when that man who I pulled out of the water. This is the thing that boggles my mind, and medical professionals all over the planet still can't figure this out. This man who I did CPR on, this man who was way, 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 way too big for a comfortable person to lift himself comfortably out of the bed. This man who just jumped in, started snoring. Everybody comes into this world kicking and screaming. This guy snored himself back, and he died. He was underwater for more than 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes is that's a scary point. If anybody's a first responder, after 2 minutes, the chances of coming back to life are diminished. He was gone for 2.5 minutes. He came back into this world snoring. It was the most peaceful, strange, comforting thing. He literally, all I heard was, and then he defecated himself. That is a thing. That is a thing that does happen. I only know this much about the man. He walked out of the hospital under his own power the very next day. And I'm glad that he got to spend another day with his family. And I'm glad that God showed me that he's master over life and death. So that's predominantly my testimony, and I'm going to show you all some strongman feats, if you wish, for the little kiddos if they didn't fall asleep. Oh, this is hot. Give me 1 second, please. How do I turn this off without making it go kabloom?
Yeah, we'll be fine. Thank you, Lucas.
Yes, sir.
Now let's let God has a purpose for all of us. Lucas, God definitely has a very special purpose for you. I've often wondered why Johnny saved 3 people's lives in Brown. I'm one of them. So, there's a reason why God uses us. Keep going. You want the kids right here?
Yeah, they're going to do a tug of war.
Okay. All right, Greg, get all the kids down here. Come on down here. Oh no.
Good, Jet. Wanna
Come
go?
on, dude, or, yeah, come on over here.
Are you strong?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see how strong you are.
Come on, Jiggy.
I don't want to see your feet. I want to smell how strong you are. I want to see how strong you are.
Come on, Jiggy.
I'm sure it's about yay wide, but that's going to be the meeting right here. 60 pounds of logs, are you sure? All right, who's my leader? All right, your leader. Judah. You come here, buddy? Yeah, what? Oh, you're strong, dude. Can you be a leader for me? I want you guys to pick teams. Can you stand right where you are? Jacob Williams. All right, Mr. Jacob Israel, can you stand right here? Can you stand right here? Turn around, face everybody. Say hi, everybody. There you go. Can you stand right here while your brother is out? All right, can you guys do team captains? Can you pick somebody for your team? Pick somebody for your team. Pick nobody. I don't think there's a nobody here. Is there a nobody here? You gotta pick somebody. All right, here you go. Okay. Can you pick somebody? You're already on your own team. I like that.